Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. I'm Brian, Mr. Smith. This is my kitchen. It's not a big one, as if you watched any of my other videos, recent videos, you know. That's okay. We're making it work until I can get the kitchen together downstairs in our new home. If you're new to my channel, thanks for stopping by and checking me out. Glad you're here. If you're returning, awesome. I am so glad to have you back. Don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down if you want to, that's not really important. Notification bell right next to the subscribe square. Hit it, and that way you'll know my videos come out. You know, it's always a privilege to be able to come into your life, and thank you. If you are new, quick breakdown of the channel. Normally, under normal circumstances, we're under the tail end of moving. But normally on Tuesdays, we sit, chit-chat, talk about whatever. Wednesdays, we try to cook dinner. Thursdays, we try to do desserts. We also do some canning and hey, whatever. I mean, my channel is basically to document me, so that way my great-great-grandkids can get to know me. So anyhow, today, since we are still in the middle of, we're not really in the middle of moving, we're more on the tail end of where we got all our stuff out of the old house. We're just getting things cleaned up over there, and we had told our landlord we would go ahead and paint the upstairs. It wasn't painted when we moved in, and it was in desperate need of a paint job, so we went ahead and painted it for him. Unlike most people would say their landlord's horrible, my landlord is actually really cool. So that being said, that's all we got left to do over there. Meanwhile, we've been steadily unpacking 20 years worth of junk. The garage is just still very full of stuff. Some fish tank stuff, a lot of fish stuff, a lot of cooking stuff, just odds and ends. But anyhow, so today I thought we'd do another crock pot meal. And in this video, I'm also going to try to squeeze in some pumpkin fudge. Hopefully we can squeeze that in. We'll do that. Hopefully we'll be able to do that while this is cooking, because we're going to do, like I said, a crock pot meal. We're going to do a chicken and gravy that we're going to put over rice, probably have a salad on the side with at the end. And then for dessert, we can try the pumpkin, or the pumpkin fudge, and see how that goes. So anyhow, chicken and gravy it's a crock pot meal. It takes about 4 to 6 hours to cook, and it only has like 4 ingredients. It really is that easy. So let me bring you down here. I'll introduce you to the ingredients. As like I said, it's a quick, can do it fast, get it together fast, but takes all day to cook. This would be a good one because, I mean, if you put it on low, it can take, you know, up to 8 hours. So that way you can put it together in like 5 minutes before you go off to work, and it'll be ready when you come home. Okay, so the base recipe for this is just 4 ingredients. I'm going to make it 5 because I'm going to add this bag of frozen vegetables. Alright, but I'm going to put this back in the freezer because we won't need it until near the end of it being done. So the other things we will need is you'll need 4 or 5 chicken breasts. I'm actually making this basically like a pot pie without the shell. So we need 4 or 5 chicken breasts, which I got 4 right here, and it's okay that these things are partially frozen. I mean, I still got the frost on them. That's how partially frozen they are. All right, so we're gonna take those. We're just gonna stick them in the crock pot and be done with them, just like that. So that's all we need to do there. The next thing you will need is 1 cup of chicken broth. You can use better than bouillon. You can use the stuff that's, you know, in the already made up in the quart containers. You can use chicken bouillon, just the bouillon cubes, for that matter. But you need a cup of chicken broth. All right, this is actually my own chicken broth. I made this. See how dark and rich that is? You won't find that in any bouillon cube or in a container. Next thing you're going to need is 2 packages of just chicken gravy. These are McCormick, but whatever chicken gravy you have available, you can afford, whatever it is your family likes. That's what you use. So, but it calls for 2 chicken gravies. This just happens to be what the store by me sells. So that's what we bought. And we're just going to open those up. We're going to put them in our 1 cup of chicken broth. Get that in there. I love the smell of powdered chicken, and that's pretty much all this is. It's almost like a better than bouillon or a chicken cube or chicken powder like you would buy. I don't remember the name brand of it. I have some, but I don't remember the name brand of it. But it always smells so good. I have no idea why. The last ingredient you will need, 1 can of cream of chicken. Any can of cream of chicken. Doesn't necessarily have to be Campbell's. Whatever you have available. This just happens to be what I have available. And then, sorry, I had to get a rubber spatula. We're going to take our cream of chicken and we're going to put it in with the powdered gravy. And you want to use the powdered gravy. Man, I know you can buy like, there's brands that sell chicken gravy that's already done up. Grab the powder. I mean, I suppose you could use the chicken gravy in and of itself and just omit the chicken broth. Here is my thought on that, though. And like I said, I've never made this before. If you're new to my channel, most of the things we make, I've actually never made. And right lately, we've been doing a lot of quick, easy meals. My YouTube schedule's been all thrown out of whack, and like I said earlier, it's because we've been moving, and it is making it rough. Like yesterday, where we should have had our dinner video, we were going to make this yesterday. Well, by the time we got done with everything for the day, it was 9 o'clock at night. It's a little hard to start a crock pot meal at 9 o'clock at night. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get this mixed up. Now, I could have started it yesterday morning. I know that's what you were just thinking, and that's okay. I don't blame you. I just thought the same thing. Why didn't you make it yesterday morning? We're going to whisk this all up, by the way. Well, I didn't start it yesterday morning because my day actually started at 4:30 in the morning. So if I were to put this on at 4:30 in the morning, it'd have been done by 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the very latest. And that's just too early for supper. Plus, I was in the middle of moving stuff. We moved the last of my fish tanks, or the fish tanks, over yesterday, and craziest thing happened. I've been keeping fish now off and on for I don't know, better half 30 years, and I've never once broke a fish tank until yesterday. Luckily, it didn't have any fish in it or water, but I was bringing it up the stairs from the basement at the old house, and sat it down, and I must have sat it down on something really small because it shattered one end of it. It broke my heart. All right, so after we get those mixed together, all we got to do, pour this over. I mean, this is really how quick this is. So, I mean, like, if you have a job where you're only going to be gone 8 hours, or you're only going to be gone 8 hours, say you're going off to the pumpkin patch because it's pumpkin season. Or going to get apples at the apple orchard, or whatever, and you want to go ahead and start dinner, good time to start it. You start this at, 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, it'll be done by 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. Okay, so all we're literally going to do is put the lid on it as soon as I find the lid. My counter space is very limited. You literally are looking at my entire counter. Right there's the stove. And the sink is just on this side. We're going to put the lid on it. We're going to plug it in. I plug in none of my tools until I need to use them. We have little hands and little fingers with little people running around here. And we don't ever want to... I don't ever plug anything in because I don't want anybody to get hurt, or for something to burn up or anything like that. So I just practice. If I'm not ready to use it yet, I don't plug it in. All right, so we've got that done, going. You're saying to yourself, Brian, that's not nearly enough sauce. So what's going to happen is this chicken, as it cooks, it's going to release its juices because it's cooking slow, hence the slow cooker. And it'll produce more liquid in there and help it to cook. Plus, it was still partially frozen, and as we all know, there's always a little bit of water in them. But all chicken, unless you buy it from a butcher, has just it has water in it, or a broth, or a brine, or something of that nature. So we'll just go ahead and set that back. One thing I was working on today, first thing this morning, I got up and went over to the old house and grabbed the last little bit of our stuff and brought it over. But after that, I went ahead and I canned up some tomato sauce. Those are still really hot. They just came out. Now, we had just some random tomatoes left over at the old house that I brought over here, and they were sitting in the fridge for about a week, and they were, I didn't want them to go bad. I didn't want them to waste. So I went ahead and ran them through the food mill downstairs in the pantry and put them in a pot, brought them up here, cooked it down into a sauce. It's tomato sauce, which you see there. But then it was taking up room in the fridge, and it had been in there another 3 or 4 days in the fridge as sauce. So today I actually had a spare moment since I wasn't over there all day bringing stuff over here. Moving when it's just two of you is not fun. And unfortunately, all my friends that I have either work during the week, in daytime. They have most of them have real jobs. So it's a little hard for them to get here when I don't on my weekends. My weekends are Wednesdays and Thursdays. So that's okay. I don't mind. It just takes a little longer to get things done. But like I said, we're here. But the tomato sauce, went ahead and got that canned up today, and that was fun. I'm actually trying out some new lids. And they're from a new company called Denali Canning. And I watched a couple YouTube videos on them, and people had tested them. And one person, all their lids had pinched, they had creased, but they still sealed. They had just creased in the process. And another lady, the Rose Red Homestead, the lady with the gadgets, what her channel's called, and she's an awesome canner. She will teach you more than I could ever learn about canning and how to do it right. At least by the book. So that being said, she had been trying these lids. They're giving away a free dozen regular lids. So I thought, why not? They even went as far as somehow the mailing address that they had was from me and Chris's house in a completely different city. I'm not sure how that happened, but it did. And they stayed in constant contact with me. They were messaging me constantly. And I said, stop and receive these lids, to find out they went to a completely different city. And instead of ignoring me, they fixed the problem. So their customer service is second to none. I have never had that kind of customer service out of any product I've bought, where they just regularly checked up on me, and it was by messenger. It wasn't like they were sending me emails. It was like talking to a friend. And I think that's awesome. All right, so we're going to let this cook for about 4 to 6 hours, probably closer to 4 because I got it on high. If you're doing it on low, it'll take about 6 to 8 hours, but you can let it go because we're going to wait until it can fall apart a little bit. All right, so when I come back, we will possibly look into, depending on, I think I have all the stuff to make it, but you never know, making some pumpkin fudge. So either way, I'll see you here in just a millisecond. Okay, so we got our chicken in the crock pot. It's cooking. It's going strong. It's still got about another 3 hours, 45 minutes or whatever. If you temp your chicken, it should register at 165 degrees. I believe it is. Yeah, 165 degrees. And then you'll know your chicken is done and it's ready to serve. So, but anyhow, we still got a good ways to go on that. So I thought we'd go ahead and make this pumpkin fudge real quick, because this is going to have to go in the fridge and chill. Harden up. And that's going to take about 3 to 4 hours. So you'll basically be done all about the same time if you make these back to back. And this is a really easy recipe. It literally has 1, 2, 3, 4 ingredients. 4. That's it. Just like the chicken. 4. So I'm going to get you down here onto the counter and we'll look at those ingredients. There is the tomatoes again. And then this is a really easy fudge. And I base that on the fact, not that I've made it before, but it's only got 4 ingredients and it involves very little cooking. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is 12 ounces of white chocolate chips, so just the white chips that you find in your baking aisle. I actually get mine from the Amish store when I go there. They're a little less pricey and they're actually tender and delicious. You will also need 5 tablespoons of sweetened condensed milk, right there, and it's it's a little over 5 tablespoons, but I guarantee you it'll be 5 when it goes in the jar because some of it's going to stick inside this container. You will need 1 teaspoon of pumpkin spice, either a kind you bought or if you make your own. Your pumpkin spice. If you want to make your own, if you're interested, look at my spices video. I show you how to make not only pumpkin spice, but some ranch dressing, some or powdered ranch, some taco seasoning, fajita seasoning, and then the last ingredient you will need: 2 tablespoons of pumpkin puree. Not pumpkin pie in a can, the pumpkin puree in a can, or you can do like we do and make your own. Matter of fact, we just bought 5 pumpkins today. A couple of them will carve. They'll all sit out for fall decoration, but then at the end of the month or beginning of November, we'll bring them all in, cut them all up, and make more canned pumpkin. You cube it. Well, you'll see. I'll make a video on it, but you essentially cube it and to process it, and then to puree it, you just mash it with a fork, and you take it out of the jar. Now, anything you have left over, like you can make as much of this as you want, but like I have left over the sweetened condensed milk, which is about 3/4 of a container, and almost an entire pint of pumpkin pumpkin. I will make coffee creamer. I'll make pumpkin spice coffee creamer. And then that way, we'll continue to have pumpkin spice coffee creamer, which seems to be at a premium this year. It's hard to find. And to be honest with you, ours tastes so much better. And maybe I'll do a video on that. If you're interested in it, let me know. I'll do a video on it. It's easy to make. It lasts a couple weeks, and it's good. I'm here to tell you, it is really good. All right, so, and you will also need an 8x8 square pan. If you're using a metal one, line it with parchment paper. I'm using glass, and this is just to hold it in to put it in the fridge. I'm using glass, so I'm not going to line it. It should come out relatively easy. I got something on the bottom of this. Odd. That, and I just reminded myself that we have no more metal pans. I got rid of the 2 metal ones we had because they had scratches in the non-stick coating in them. If your non-stick metal pans get scratches in them, get rid of them. They'll start to rust, and that metal will just change the flavor profile of your food. All right, so first thing we need to do is here is an option for you. We can either do this on the stovetop, or you can do it in the microwave, but I'm going to do mine on the stovetop. Is we're going to melt down our white chocolate chips, and we're going to add our condensed milk into that. Now, if you decide to do this in the microwave, you want to microwave 20 seconds at a time. So you'll put this in the microwave in a microwave-safe bowl, and you'll go heat for 20 seconds, take it out, stir it up, heat for an additional 20 seconds, and do that 3 times. And your stuff should be melted, but you want to do it until it's melted. You don't want to put it in for a full minute. What can happen is you can scorch your chocolate. And you don't want to do that because then it'll have a burnt taste. Or you can scorch your milk for that matter. If you're going to do it like I'm doing it on the stovetop, you want a low heat. You would almost be just as better off to use a double boiler. If you don't know what a double boiler is, It's a pot or a pan that sits here, and then you put a bowl over top of it, water in that bottom pan, and it heats this real slow. Instead, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to let this heat up on low heat, and I'm going to stir it until it's all melted. That way, we got it good and ready to go. All right, so when I come back, we'll move on to the next step, but I'm going to go ahead and melt that down. I'll see you here in a millisecond. Okay, so we got her melted, and this is kind of cool. I got this recipe off of Whippoorwill Hollow. If you get a chance, check out their channel. They're awesome. But she was talking about how that looks like mashed potatoes, and it does look like mashed potatoes. But now we can move on to the next step, which is literally just add the next two ingredients. So we're going to add the pumpkin and the pumpkin spice. And we're going to mix this all together. Now, she swears up and down this is going to taste just like a pumpkin pie in fudge form. Yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, I have no doubt. I have yet to find anything of hers that doesn't seem to make sense or work. She does some canning, and yeah, they live off the land. Yeah, I mean, they both work, but they do live, you know, in the middle of nowhere on a holler, and yeah, they live off the land. They're self-sustaining. They grow their own food for the most part. They, yeah, have a pantry and a keep just like such. Pretty much like we do. Yeah, they grow in the summertime and into the fall, and then they can their stuff, and yeah, just like you should. All right. Now, she did say that you could add orange food coloring to this, depending on how orange you like your fudge. But much like her, I'm not going to, because I think that's just silly myself. But I believe we are mixed up. And see, once I added the pumpkin to it loosened it up a little bit. But what we got to do now, like I said, if you're using a metal 8x8, put you some parchment paper in it so it doesn't stick to it. Glass doesn't really, at least in my experience, doesn't really stick a whole lot, so I'm not going to use it. Worst case scenario is it sticks, and I'm still going to eat it either way it goes. Yeah, much like most of the things I bake, I'm not doing this for a contest, awards. I'm doing this so we have something to snack on, or a treat, or whatever. Or I'm actually going to I'd probably do another one of these. I would like to do one with walnuts in it. Walnuts is an option. If you would like to put walnuts in it, it's a 1/4 cup. You could also put, raisins or cranberries, or, whatever whatever makes you feel like fall. If there's a favorite nut or a favorite dried fruit you like, throw it in there. It's not going to change anything. Yeah, it's still going to taste like pumpkin. I know, I can tell you, it smells just like pumpkin, which is awesome. So we got that in there. Let me grab a knife right quick. Bought up a bunch of these plasticware for when we were first moving, so we had something to use to eat with. All right, so there we are. Our pumpkin fudge is in the pan. I'm going to stick this in the fridge and let it harden up. So, depending on your fridge and how cold you keep it, it may take a couple hours. It may take 4 or 5 hours. I can't imagine it would take that long, though. But if you want it done even quicker, you can stick it in your freezer, and then it'll harden right up quick. But I'm going to stick mine in the fridge so that way it comes out just about the same time the chicken's done. So when we come back, we'll taste the chicken over some rice, and then we'll try a piece of fudge. All right, see you here in just one moment. Okay, so it's been about 5.5, 6 hours since we last talked, or for you about a half a second. But our dinner is done and our fudge is done. So let's look at the fudge first. Okay. I will say this much, and this is based on the fact I had it on my fingers before I put it in the fridge. It definitely tastes like pumpkin pie. Now, I don't know if I'm altogether sold on the look of it because it's kind of pale, and it could be because I used my own pumpkin, which is naturally lighter. It could be that, it just too much the white chocolate chips. So, but that's okay. I'm not holding it against it. It's not a fail yet. I can tell you it does taste like pumpkin. Now, you will want to keep this in your fridge, just so you know. If you don't, if you have any kind of warmth in your kitchen at all, those morsels will melt, and you'll be back to a really soft fudge. Well, it's definitely creamy. It definitely tastes like pumpkin pie. That pumpkin spice is everywhere. But that being said, it's not bad. I mean, it's good. But I don't know if it's something I would crave. If you really like pumpkin pie, I think that would be right up your alley. But in a way, I feel it's missing something. I just don't know what yet. I'm not gonna kick that out of the recipe book. Sorry, it looks like I got fudge right there. Nope, just the way my beard's sitting. I'm not gonna kick that out of the recipe book. It's not horrible. It tastes like pumpkin pie. It's a creamy consistency like fudge. But I can tell you just from taking it out of the pan, it was kind of a pain. Definitely use parchment paper. I would let it sit in the fridge overnight, not just for 4 or 5 hours. Like I said, I let it sit there for 4 hours before I took it out of the pan. And the struggle was very real where I did not use parchment paper, but I got it out. If you do ever run into that, like in my case, I used my offset spatula. I just ran it under hot water, dried it off real quick with a paper towel, and then made a cut. And every time after I'd make a cut, I'd rinse, warm it up, and do the same thing over and over again, and was able to get it out of there with minimal damage. But all in all, not bad. Like I said, I don't know if it's quite my cup of tea. I'd like to play with that recipe a little bit, but it might be one you enjoy. Or I might have just gotten it all wrong. Who knows? But my kitchen is really warm too, and that will affect fudge. The heat of your kitchen will affect, when it comes to making fudge. That's why you don't really see it made a whole lot in the summertime and the heat of summer. You want your kitchen to be kind of cool. All right, so anyhow, moving on. Let's try our main course. Let's take a look at it here real quick. I'll bring you down to it. It'll be a lot easier that way on us, and I'll bring it over to you. Yep, that's still really hot. I just unplugged it. Literally like 2 seconds before I hit play on the camera. But right there is our chicken gravy with vegetables. It literally looks like a loose chicken pot pie. So, and it's just, it smells fantastic and it looks really good. So, and as I've often said, that's 2/3 of the battle. So, let me find something to portion out rice with, because I didn't think about that ahead of time. Put some rice in a bowl. I just got some regular white rice with this. And if we wouldn't have been so busy today, I probably would have made that salad, but I just ran out of time and didn't have time to chop. So we're simply going to do a 1 bowl meal, which is okay. It's later in the day, and You know, we don't need anything horribly heavy. Heck, Chris is still busy working around the house, so it'll be all right. But there we are in our bowl with some rice for a better view. If you didn't care much for the crock pot look. And as you can tell, it is still quite hot and steamy. That's all right. We'll make the best of it, right? Right? We're winners here, all of us. Nobody's a loser. Grab us a. Now, I'm a spoon guy. That's a question for you guys. Do you prefer a spoon or a fork? Because I know there's things that I'll eat with a spoon that Chris will eat with a fork. And she says I'm weird for it. Like rice or corn. You know, Chris will have a tendency to eat those with a fork because, like, the main part of her meal might require a fork. But where I, on the other hand, would like rice and corn, prefer a spoon. But anyhow, let me know down in the comments below. That'll be a fun thing to talk about. So now I got that a little mixed up. So now we got some rice all through there. I am going to blow on this. I'm no fool. You know, my mom might have raised a slight fool, but not a complete fool. That's pretty all right. Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I don't know if I'd add anything to it. Maybe a little pepper, you know. But other than that, I don't think I'd change much of a thing. It's got good flavor. I think the chicken gravy packets, you know, helped out a lot on that. Sorry. Now, I didn't show it, but about 30 minutes before this was done, about 30 minutes before I pressed play on this, I went ahead and threw my bag of vegetables in. If you put them in the beginning, they'll get mushy, but in that long cook time. So about a half hour or so before you're ready to serve it, go ahead and put your vegetables in there. And then just let it go. Like I said, for about 30-35 minutes, and you'll be good. They'll be cooked. They won't be mushy. They'll be cooked, but they'll still be a little firm. That way, you know they're there. It adds that bit of texture to it. So, yeah, I'd recommend this. I'd recommend the peanut butter fudge too. I would just, in my mind's eye, I would like to play with it a little bit. So you may see a peanut butter fudge part 2, or peanut butter pumpkin fudge part 2. The do-over. Only because I think it has potential, and I want to play with it and see if maybe I did something wrong. Maybe add a little more pumpkin to it. It may be the brand of the white chocolate chips I used, or the white morsels that I used. It could be that. So what I'll do is the next time I make it, because I've got plenty of stuff to make it with, I'll go out and buy a different brand of the white morsels, and we'll take it from there. All right. Well, I'm going to go round everybody up so we can sit down and have a quick meal. Let me know if you try this, either of them, and what you think. All right, leave me a comment down below on it. Good, really good, stunk, never eat it again, and that's fine. You tell me to go jump in a lake. I'm okay with that. So, until next week, I definitely have a Tuesday. Yes, I heard you. We're definitely going to try to get back to normal on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, now that I got everything moved in. Now we're just busy putting stuff away through the week. And I know I kind of crammed 2 videos into one here, but these were both very simple to make. Literally 10 minutes for either of them, a crock pot or the fridge, and you're good to go that evening. So, like I said, let me know either way, whether you liked it, didn't like it, if there's something you would change, something you would add or subtract. Let me know. All right? I love you. I love you very much. Tell somebody else you love them and you love them very much. It's going to make their day a whole lot better. It's going to make you feel better. I know I feel better telling you guys. And I will see you next week. All right? Talk to you later. Love you.